Okay, we're going. It says it's rolling. This is Evan. How you doing? I've never really told anybody this. I suffer from CPTSD. Now, I thought it was a joke for the longest time, and I apologize if that offends anybody. I didn't really understand what it was until I finally had my first, I don't know what the hell you call it. I had something happen, and I had my first tailspin of a PTSD episode, and it was not fun, and it scared the shit out of me. And for the most part, I do okay, but every once in a blue moon, I get triggered by stuff, and it sets it off. And today I was having a fabulous day. I still kind of am having I'm having a fabulous day. Don't get me wrong, but I'm dealing with some people that live around me that, for whatever reason, like to trigger my PTSD with loud sounds. And if you don't know what that is, if you don't know what PTSD is or CPTSD is, please look it up. It's not a joke. My heart goes out to anybody that suffers from it. When I had my episode, I understand why people do now. I understand why people do the things they do when they're having a breakdown with that and they're having a moment regarding that, because for me personally, it was like I was outside of my own body. I was literally outside of my own body and saw myself having what was going on, and I could not get myself back in my body to calm myself and to give myself comfort. And then once this episode was over, I was back in my body, and I was like, what in the world was that? So yeah, if anybody suffers from CPTSD or PTSD, I'm right there with you. One of the things that I've found myself using is EFT tapping. EFT tapping, and I think I've spoken this before, some of my videos when I was in my grief, having grief counseling with my grief counselor. She did a mode of therapy called EMDR, I believe. Let me look it up really quickly so I don't give you guys the wrong information, because I never can remember. EMDR therapy, yes. And it is really intense. It's called eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, and which is psychotherapy that helps people with traumatic memories. And it's used a lot with PTSD patients, so my grief counts, and it helps with other things. But my grief counselor used it with me, and I suggest you might find someone, if you suffer from PTSD, then maybe if you have access to counseling or support on that level, if you could find somebody that does EFT tapping and or EMDR therapy, I highly recommend it. I will forewarn you with the EMDR therapy, it is super intense, but it works. It has helped me quell times when I could have been triggered or possibly should have been triggered and I didn't. Seems right now the only times I get triggered is when I have my moments of grief flood over, and I do have moments of grief still flood over me. It's been 5 years now since B passed away, and 7 since my dad. And the weird thing is that my dad passing sucked. It's like, your parents are gonna go, so you don't get all. Some people I think handle it a little better than others, maybe because of that. It's kind of like just the way, usually it's the way the world works. Your parents pass before you do. Sometimes you have an instance like with my girlfriend B, with Brandina. She went first. None of her other family members had passed away other than grandparents. Her parents are still around, her sisters and her brother are still around. She has a child, still alive. She was 42, so sometimes that happens. That's the death that still affects me majorly in certain levels because she and I were twin flames. So sometimes I get just hit and flushed with thoughts or emotions of her, and on occasion, the eyes, I get dirt in my eyes and I cry. My eyes water because I get dirt in them. And when that occurs, I'm sometimes easily triggered with my PTSD, and I do not respond well when I'm triggered, and I definitely do not respond well when people purposely trigger me, and that's what's going on. I have neighbors right now that live around me that know I have it. We don't get along, and so they purposely trigger my PTSD, and I think it's kind of a shitty thing for people to do because I guess people think it's a joke and it isn't real. But the sad thing is that unfortunately, I'm not going to do this. I have yet to do this, and I don't think I ever will respond in a situation where I'm being triggered with violence. But there are people out there that unfortunately have that kind of response because of whatever traumas they've been through. And for these two people that are aggravating me, I hate to say this, but one day they're going to mess with the wrong fucking person, and they're going to be really upset that they fucked with the wrong person. And that's all I'm going to say about that. The entire reason why I decided to make this video is I want to talk a little bit about grief again. I had a moment today where I got flushed with some emotions, like I said earlier. And now my grief doesn't come and sit with me all day. Sometimes I will just have a little wave of it, and I'll have like 2 or 3 minutes of going, oh my god, I miss her so bad, what the hell is happening? And I'll cry a little bit, and then it passes and I'm okay. But it makes me think of the movie, if anybody has seen, well, first of all, I would assume most people know who Julia Roberts is. She was in a movie in the 90s, I believe. It was called Pretty Woman. And there's a scene in the movie where she is at a dinner, a very fancy, upscale restaurant. And she's eating escargot, which is snails. And she doesn't really understand how to operate the things that are used to hold the snail, so she can hold the shell of the snail so she can eat the escargot out of the shell. And I think they could be slipping out. And she makes a comment. I don't know why it always sticks in my mind. And I think a lot of people probably quote this line out of the movie, but she's one of them like flies across the room and like lands on somebody, and she's like, oh, well, they're slippery little suckers, aren't they? And that's kind of how grief is. Grief is a slippery little sucker. It will just show up out of nowhere and hit you. And you're like, what's this? Why is this happening? And what I've found is just don't question it. Just let it happen. Eventually the feeling will pass. Now, if you've just experienced the loss of someone, then obviously that's not what's going to happen. But after a certain amount of time, hopefully, you have put some distance between you and the grief in the sense of time passing. And you don't sit in it as long. That's what I call it. Like when I'm having a moment, I can choose to sit there for as long as I choose and be upset about her passing. Or I can sit there and let the feeling come and wash over me and pass through me, and then I can get up and do things that will hopefully make me feel better. One of the things that I've noticed for me personally, and I think probably with a lot of men, I'm not really sure, I've not really looked into it, could also be true for women too. I mean, it just could be true for anybody. Actually, I don't think it matters of your gender. But what I've been told is movement, body movement, getting up and moving your body around really moves heavy energy, and grief is a heavy energy. Grief is down there. I think if you Google frequency vibrations of emotions, it'll have like a chart and a list of like, obviously like joy and stuff is up here, happiness, blah 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 blah. And then as you get down towards the bottom, it's sadness, anger, and grief, I think, are the three that are at the lower portion, the lowest vibrational stance you can have for yourself. And so that's a very dense, heavy energy, and it takes a lot to move through that. So, in order to help alleviate whatever grief you're going through, it might help to move your body. What I do is I either go work out or I take a walk. I've really enjoyed taking walks because now I'm communing with Crow Spirit. I found myself to be on the shamanic path all of a sudden, like really, really trying to, um, what's the word? Be an example. Do as my shaman asks and says, walk the walk, don't just talk the talk. So I go outside and try to, be in nature as much as I can, because I live in a city, and so I take walks. So if you're going through something and really intense energy or heavy energy, and you need to figure out a way, like, what do I do with this? Get up and take your butt outside and go take a walk. You don't have to, like, walk at a brisk pace. You don't have to run. Just get your booty outside in the front, in the air, in the wind, in nature, and walk around the block, pick a route, walk to the nearest whatever store that you want to purchase something at and purchase it, and then come back. But get yourself outside and move your tush, move your body. It will help immensely. Yeah. All right. I think that's it. I'll see you in the next video.